Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मई की जय। श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरे कृष्ण। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। Mukam karoti vachalam Angum langayate Yatripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Vancha kalpatarubhyascha Kripa sindho bhyadevaccha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauradvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishna Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Radhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadho Vargenaya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumathopahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor Matamidam Natta Patratarahana Paraha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So our topic for today is overcoming fear and insecurity. Sounds familiar? Who can say that in this world he or she has never felt any fear or insecurity? Many times, poets, songsters write about the birds and they say flying high in the sky like a bird, free from fear and so on and so forth. But actually that is not a fact. Birds, if you study them, are very fearful creatures. If you look at these little birds that perch on trees, they're always looking around, restless. They're never peacefully sitting down in one place, all the time moving their heads left and right, because they're worried. There may be somebody attacking them. In every species of life in this world, fear is a very predominant emotion and force. Fear drives many of our actions in this world. Sometimes fear is a good thing. If it wasn't for fear, who would obey the traffic lights? Yes? If it wasn't for fear, we would have many more criminals in society today. Out of fear of the law, out of fear of punishment, out of fear of getting a bad name in the society and so on, one goes along the accepted path of life. So fear is not always necessarily a bad thing. That fear sometimes serves as a means of our protection. So when we talk of overcoming fear and anxiety, we should keep this in mind. The kind of fear and insecurity that we want to overcome is not just this kind of fear, but also another kind of fear that doesn't let us live peacefully, that disturbs the peace of our mind. One of our great acharyas, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, has explained that there are 4 kinds of people in this world, depending on what motivates them to perform actions, what motivates them to work in this world for different reasons. And we could operate on these 4 levels at different times, on different occasions. One very important driving force for people in this world, as I indicated already, is fear. So we do many things driven by fear of the repercussions of not doing that thing. We pay our taxes, we do so many things. Although it pinches to pay taxes, in no country in the world do people not grumble about taxes. Every country in the world. But then, without tax, how can welfare activity go on in the society? How can works for the general welfare of people in the society happen? So that's something necessary. In any case, out of fear, we do many things. However, that's not a very good platform to be on. Even if one obeys the traffic rules, one pays one's taxes, it shouldn't be out of fear. At least, one should come to some higher platform. The second platform which Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about, which is slightly higher than the first, is reward. We perform actions to get some material reward. We hope to make a gain. So a businessman will perform his business activities with the idea to earn some profit. Or an employee in a company will work to earn a salary at the end of the day. If the employer were to say, "My dear friend, you worked so many years here now, henceforth please work for me free of charge. I will not pay you. Let your work be your reward." Then he's not going to have so many candidates applying. Because people in this world work for some material reward. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, because we also need money to survive. We need a house, we need certain basic facilities to survive. The question, however, is why do we want these things? And then we come to a higher question or a higher platform. The third platform on which people are situated and which drives them to work is a sense of duty. So some people may say, well, it's not out of fear that I'm paying my taxes. It's not because I'm looking for some reward that I'm paying my taxes and obeying the laws. I'm just doing it out of a sense of duty. In this world, the unfortunate fact is, people in general are more concerned about their rights than about their duties, isn't it? If only we were all concerned about our duties even more than we are concerned about our rights, the world would be such a nice place to live in. But when people are more concerned about what I will get out of this, what is my right to expect from this, and they don't worry so much about what they should be giving to the society, then we have a troublesome situation. So at the very least, one should be on the platform of duty. One does these things understanding that it is my duty as a good citizen to do all these things. Because I'm living in a society, we have a society that does so much for me. It provides me roads, it provides me security and safety, so many different facilities that I need for my survival and happy, healthy life. Therefore, it's the least I can do. It's my duty. So that's the third motivation for work. The fourth motivation for work, and the highest one, is what? Love. Yes. Love is the highest motivation for work. When we are motivated by love, then even duty is not a consideration. A mother looks after the small child not out of duty, it's out of love. Therefore, the mother takes care of every small detail of the care of the child. On the other hand, if there's someone who's employed to do the same thing, the person may or may not have that love. And the person may just do it out of a sense of reward, that I'm doing this because I get paid to do it. Or if they're in the mode of goodness, they may think, well, it's my duty, I must look after somebody else's child. And if that person is really spiritual, then they'll say, well, out of love, I should do this. So in general, in life, we find people who are motivated to work for the lower two reasons. Very few people work out of duty, genuinely. And even fewer people in the world work out of a sense of love. The path of Krishna consciousness is a path of love. But what kind of love? It is not the ordinary love of this world. It is a love that is transcendental, that is divine, that is very special, very sublime. It is like nothing else in this world. It is the most selfless love. And that love, the sense of the propensity of wanting to love others and be loved, is very intrinsic to human beings. And when it is placed or directed towards Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is a perfection of our loving propensity. When we keep Krishna out of the picture, we keep God out of the picture, and we try to love others without loving Krishna, it is very hard. Because some way or the other, there is some self-interest that comes in the picture. Some selfishness, some fear, some sort of sense of what do I get out of this? All these things will start coming in. And we start making a distinction. This is mine and that is not mine. So that which is mine, I will look after well. That which is not mine, I give it a second priority. Consider, for example, your own children. Most of you sitting here are family people. You all love children, don't you? How many of you love children? Raise your hands, be honest. How many of you love children? I would expect more hands on the ladies' side to be raised. Okay, let me ask you a question. How many of you love other people's children as much as you love your own children? Are you being honest? Okay, very nice. If that's the case, that's excellent. But in general, in life, it's natural that people love their own children more than they love other people's children. They may love other children too, but when it comes to my child, it's a little special. Something different, something extra. So Krishna consciousness is all about loving Krishna so much that we automatically love everyone. And that was a special characteristic or feature of Vrindavan where Krishna performed his loving pastimes. So we want to move up from the platform of fear, reward, duty, and eventually we want to come to the platform of acting out of pure love. When you act out of love, all the other motivations for work disappear. So much so that you're not concerned about material rewards. A mother doesn't love her child and serve her child for some material reward. She's not concerned about that. So similarly, when we act out of a sense of divine love, then no longer are we concerned about the other three factors. We don't even act out of a sense of duty, we just do it out of love. What then to speak of reward, and what further then to speak of fear? Fear doesn't remain a factor in our lives. And therefore, pure devotee of the Lord becomes fearless. Because there is love in the heart of that devotee for the Supreme Lord. It is that strong, staunch faith, that strong divine love that imparts a very high degree of fearlessness to that person. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna speaks about two kinds of persons. He says that in this world, there always have been and there always will be two kinds of people. One are those who are equipped with divine qualities, transcendental qualities. And there are those who are endowed with qualities that are not divine. The qualities that are not divine are, for example, ego, pride, arrogance, hatred, greed, lust, anger, envy. These are qualities that constitute what Krishna calls the demoniac nature. But as opposed to that, there is the transcendental or divine nature. And Krishna in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita points out many of these divine qualities that a transcendentally situated person is endowed with. And the first amongst them is abhayam. Abhayam sattva samshuddhi jnana yoga vyavasthiti. Abhayam is fearlessness. Sattva samshuddhi is purification of one's existence. So as a very first symptom of transcendental knowledge and divine qualities, Krishna mentions abhayam. And then I'll read a section of Srila Prabhupada's purport about this quality of fearlessness. Quote, for a sannyasi, the first qualification should be fearlessness. Now you shouldn't think, well, I'm not a sannyasi, it's okay for me. But internally, we can all be sannyasis. We should be sannyasis, internally. Externally, we may all have different positions in life, doesn't matter. But internally, the process is for all of us to be like that. Continue. Because a sannyasi has to be alone, without any support or guarantee of support, he simply has to depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one thinks, after I leave my connections, who will protect me? He should not accept the renounced order of life. One must be fully convinced that Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his localized aspect as Paramatma, is always within. That he is seeing everything and he always knows what one intends to do. One must thus have firm conviction that Krishna as Paramatma will take care of a soul surrendered to him. I shall never be alone, one should think. Even if I live in the darkest regions of a forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna and he will give me all protection. That conviction is called abhayam or fearlessness. This state of mind is necessary for a person in the renounced order of life. So what is the main feature of abhayam? The conviction that Krishna will protect me. Why does one feel fear? Because one feels worried about one's safety, one's security, one's future, one's well-being, or that of one's loved ones. But if one has staunch faith, rakshishyati iti vishvaso, that Krishna will protect. If Krishna is taking care of even the ants and the elephants who don't go to any place of worship, he takes care of the atheists, So why will he not take care of his dear devotees who have surrendered their lives to him, who are living only for him? So this faith, this conviction is at the heart or is the essence of the quality of fearlessness. If we want to combat fear and insecurity in life, there may be many practical steps we do take because we can't, of course, be foolish. But primarily or fundamentally, the real security is Krishna. Is our faith and conviction and dependence on Krishna, that Krishna will take care. Now all of you have heard the pastimes of the Lord in the Ramayana. And you all know that when Lord Ram was on the shore of the ocean, about to cross over and go to Lanka to have a battle with Ravana and his armies in Lanka, Vibhishana, who was the brother of Ravana, disapproved of Ravana's activities and admonished him very strongly and told him that he should have returned Sita, and there was still time for him to return Sita to Lord Ram. But if he continued with this, then the entire kingdom of Lanka would be devastated, demolished. But Ravana became so outraged and enraged that he asked his brother to leave. He said, if you want my brother, I would have taken your life at this very instance. So go away immediately from here. I do not need brothers like you who are actually my enemies. Of course, Vibhishana wasn't an enemy at all. Vibhishana was a well-wisher of Ravana. Even though Ravana was such a person of demoniac qualities, but Vibhishana was the opposite. He always sought the welfare of his brother. And he always tried to give him good advice. But Ravana wouldn't listen. And when Ravana eventually asked Vibhishana to go, with a heavy heart, Vibhishana left. He crossed over and came to the place where Lord Ram was stationed with Hanuman and all the other soldiers, the Vanar Sena. And as he was approaching the Vanar Sena, they saw Vibhishana coming and recognized him to be one of the members of the family of Ravana. So they pounced on him and they arrested him. And they were deliberating amongst themselves as to what should be done with him. Somebody said, no, he's from the enemy camp, he should be killed. We are in a war zone now, and he is coming from the other side. Therefore we should kill him. Somebody else said, well, yes, it looks like he's a spy. He's coming here in the guise of a devotee, but actually he's come here to find out what kind of troop strengths we have and so on and so forth. And in this way, many different generals of Ram's army had their own opinions. And because their opinions differed, ultimately they decided to go to Lord Ram. So Lord Ram heard the whole matter. He saw Vibhishana, took one look at him, and he said something very important for all of us. Sakrit eva prapannoyas tavasniti chayachate abhayam sarvada tasmai tadam yetat pratam mama. This is a very famous verse. He said, Sakrit eva, even if once, prapannoyah, if somebody comes to me and surrenders to me, prapannaha means the path of surrender to the Lord. So Lord Ram says, if anyone approaches me and surrenders to me and says, Tava asmi iti yachate, and he says, my dear Lord, I am yours. Tava asmi. Tava means yours. Asmi means am. So I am yours. So if anybody comes to me in a spirit of surrender and says, my dear Lord, I am yours, Abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami. I award him dadami, fearlessness, abhayam. Vratam mama, this is my vow, this is my promise. So the Supreme Lord has promised that if somebody surrenders unto him, then he will protect him. He said, because Vibhishana has come here and said, Tava Asmi, I am yours, therefore I will accept Vibhishana. I will never send back anyone who has approached me in true sincerity. Ram could judge and gauge the sincerity of Vibhishana. So similarly, in our hearts, we should try to develop that spirit of sincere surrender to the Supreme Lord. When we do that, automatically the Lord's promise will prevail. We have to come in front of Krishna and say, my dear Krishna, I am yours. And that is not a casual thing to say. And I come in front of the Lord and say, my dear Lord, I am yours, and then go to the pub after that outside. No. When we say to the Lord, I am yours, we mean that we have become His surrendered souls, which means that we want to only work for His pleasure. We want to only work out of love for Him. We don't want to work out of love for the world, for worldly things. We don't want to work out of love for money, love for our personal enjoyment in this world. We only want to work for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And this gives us complete fearlessness. Imagine a small child. A child can sometimes become fearful. But when the child is with its parent, the child doesn't feel any fear. Why? Mommy is with me, daddy is with me. Even the big bully down the street cannot do anything, because now I'm with mother or father. Individually, the child may be helpless when face to face with a bully. But when mother is there or father is there, and the child becomes fearless. Now there's no fear. So similarly, in life, we may have numerous challenges that can be actually very, very fearful, very fearsome. But if we depend on Krishna completely and have the faith that Krishna will protect, and Krishna's protection may mean something different from what we understand it. Krishna's protection means that Krishna will do what is best for us. There is a saying in English, there is no atheist in a foxhole. Any of you have a military background? No. Do you know what a foxhole is? A foxhole is a hole in the ground that soldiers dig when they are firing at the enemies. They go into the ground, have sandbags on the front, and then they are firing. That's called a foxhole. So when you're firing bullets in a war and the enemies are firing back at you, anything could happen. A bullet could strike you and you could die. So the saying, the proverb in English goes that when you're in the foxhole and you're fighting a battle when death could come anytime, and there is no atheist there. Everyone prays, God, please save me. God, please protect me. It's natural. I remember one time I was in a flight and I was going to London, and somehow the plane hit a patch of turbulence and we went into free fall for almost 10 or 15 seconds. But 10 or 15 seconds is a long time. Or maybe it was a little short, at least it felt like 10 years. And